Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Friday, January 6, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Cash transfers for all households not feasible, even at peak of oil money, says Ali. Low-income earners to face less difficulties in opening bank accounts, says VP. Only 2 of 7 MOCHA squatters take up relocation offer. 7-year-old critical following BARTICA accident. 18-year-old survivor in fatal Boxing Day hit and run recalls tragedy. And woman remanded for stabbing husband to death. Now for the news in detail. President Dr. Irfan Ali has posited that while cash transfers to every household might seem promising, it is not feasible even when Guyana will be at the peak of earning money from oil and gas. According to President Ali, the country simply cannot afford it. Rupa Sinarain tells us more.
President Dr. Irfan Ali on Thursday spoke at the stakeholders' engagement at State House, where he was accompanied by Prime Minister Mark Phillips, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, and Finance Minister Ashni Singh. The head of state explained that the government is looking at enhancing productive capacity, improved services and wages, while overall creating policies that will benefit every household.
So I can say, like many others, maybe let's give everybody $1 million each. First of all, it's nonsensical because we can't afford it even at the highest point of oil revenue. But it sounds nice, it sounds great. And we have to dismiss these things. So there is a term that we were discussing the other day, that economic literacy. We hear a lot about financial literacy. But as a community, we need to embark on a program of economic literacy. Having the population understand the economic framework through which policies are crafted.
President Ali said the PPPC government is embarking on massive development that will lay the foundation to build an economy that will perform in 2030 and beyond.
I believe strongly in the ability of this people to build one of the strongest economies in the world. I made the point that we're the fastest growing economy with oil and gas. But if you take oil and gas out, we're still the 5th fastest growing economy, if you take oil and gas out. We brought a consortium together to make us self-sufficient in corn and soya. I believe now that by 2025, with the type of interest that is coming in, that we will not only be self-sufficient, but we'll be net exporter of corn and soya. I believe strongly that we'll achieve this. So there are a number of areas that the future platform of this country will be built on.
In outlining the vision for 2030 and beyond, President Ali said the aim is to make Guyana a leader in food security and agro-processing, as well as technology, health, and manufacturing.
Low-income persons will face less difficulty in opening a bank account amid many instances where the system had caused disintermediation among the population. Here is Rupa Sinarain again with the details.
Vice President Bharat Jagdeo indicated during a stakeholders meeting at State House on Thursday that in easing the restrictions, persons conducting transactions of $500,000 can just walk into banks without any difficulty and get it done.
You walk in, you can open an account without all of this fancy forms fill up, withdraw your money without your $40,000, without having to tell the banker what you're using it for. It's causing disintermediation here. People are scared of going in the banks. I am scared of filling up these forms. I can't navigate through them.
Depending on the level of transactions, different requirements will be needed. Those depositing higher figures on an annual basis would have to go through the normal channel. Meanwhile, President Dr. Irfan Ali told the commercial banks, in light of the current development, that consideration should be made to rethink their strategies regarding infrastructure.
Because of the infrastructure transformation that is taking place, you need to rethink your strategy with the contractors and the supplier of input for infrastructure. Take, for example, the quarry. I mean, we have gone out and given quarry license, but then a lot of the projects are held up at the bank. And there is a clear demand for quarry material that now we have to push to get importation.
According to the president, the banks must match what is happening within the country. Rupa Sinarain, The Evening News.
Public hearings in the Commission of Inquiry into the March 2020 elections continue today, with former Chief Elections Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, Keith Lowenfield, and former Returning Officer Clermont Mingo indicating that, due to their pending court cases, they would not testify. More details in this Vanu Manikchand report.
Former Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield and Returning Officer for Region 4 Clermont Mingo were summoned by the Commission of Inquiry. Their lawyer, Attorney Nigel Hughes, indicated to the Commission that both of his clients are defendants in criminal proceedings relating to the 2020 election. Hence, they would not testify to avoid incriminating themselves.
Mr. Lowenfield, we are mindful that you are the subject of certain criminal proceedings rising out of the March 2020 election. Accordingly, it's our duty to advise you that you have a right to remain silent. You are not bound to answer any questions posed to you by myself or any of the commissioners or counsel to the commission. Put it shortly, you are not bound to testify if you do not wish to do so. What is your desire, sir?
Mr. Chairman, I will remain silent.
Mr. Mingo, we are aware that you are the subject of certain criminal proceedings arising out of the March 2020 regional and general elections. You are not under any obligation to testify if you do not wish to do so. What is your desire, sir? I reserve my right to remain silent, sir.
Only Thursday, former APNU-AFC ministers Dr. Karen Cummins and Valda Lawrence, along with the party's chief scrutineer Carl Smith-Joseph, who are also facing electoral fraud charges, opted not to give evidence after being summoned by the commission. Meanwhile, Friday's hearing also saw Senior Superintendent of Police Philip Azor reserving his right to remain silent as well.
Mr. Azor, I respect the position that you have taken. Thank you, Your Honor. But are you aware that the evidence that has been given before this commission identifies you in certain events on the 5th of March at the Ashman's building, and particularly vis-a-vis your role there in the presence of the Commander Edgar Thomas? Are you aware of those things?
So I was made to understand by, I can't remember your name.
Counsel to the commission, yes.
Yes.
So aware of all those things.
Yes.
And notwithstanding, you will remain silent.
I would like to.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're relieved from further attention.
Earlier this week, former Police Commissioner Leslie James had testified that he put Azor in charge of the Georgetown Division and to take over control of the Ashman's building after contact could not be made with then Commander, Assistant Commissioner of Police Edgar Thomas. At the time when Azor took over, not only was he a deputy to the commander, but Thomas was also unaware that his command was taken away. The former top cop returned to give further evidence before the COI on Friday morning regarding his decision to have ACP Thomas replaced by Senior Superintendent Azor. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchand.
Vanu Manikchand joins us again to report that only 2 of the 7 remaining squatters at the Maka Kane View area showed up at the Housing Ministry to activate the process that would enable them to receive compensation packages to relocate to a nearby housing development along the East Bank Demerara corridor. Here are the details.
Following the demolition of the structures on the government reserves at Maka Kane View, which are in the path of the ongoing Eccles to Great Diamond 4-lane highway, 4 squatters had reached out to the Housing Ministry to get compensation packages. However, only 2 of those persons turned up to the ministry on Friday morning. According to Housing Minister Colin Crowell, those 2 persons are being engaged. He added that the door is still open for the other 5 persons to follow suit. This newscast understands that of the 2 individuals who are engaging the ministry, 1 person has signed an agreement for a land and financial compensation, while the other person has asked for time to consult with their family. Already, 28 persons have been relocated from the government reserves, and some $256 million in compensation have been paid out to them along with lands for farming. However, 7 persons remained on the reserves after rejecting government's offer, while making excessive demands totaling some $560 million for properties valued at just $56 million. After several months of warning and failed attempts to remove those persons, the Housing Ministry went ahead and demolished all the structures on the reserves on Thursday. During this exercise, however, persons set an excavator on fire, a move which has been condemned by President Dr. Irfan Ali. The head of state said that the squatters, backed by the opposition, are holding up the highway construction that will not only bring relief to commuters along the East Bank, but also increase the value of properties in the area. The president noted too that by relocating, government is giving these 7 families the opportunity to have legally owned house and land, which will secure their future. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchand.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony has announced that through the COVAX mechanism, government is expecting the arrival of 7,000 doses of bivalent COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer by the end of this month. He described these vaccines as more effective and said that once they have arrived, authorities would inform the public how persons can get their jabs. According to the U.S. FDA website, the bivalent COVID-19 vaccines include a component of the original virus strain to provide broad protection against COVID-19 and a component of the Omicron variant to provide better protection against COVID-19 caused by the Omicron variant. These vaccines are described as bivalent because they contain these 2 components. A bivalent COVID-19 vaccine may also be referred to as an updated COVID-19 vaccine booster dose. The country's COVID-19 death toll has risen to 1,290 after a man who had been infected with the novel coronavirus succumbed. He has been identified as a 75-year-old from Region 2 who had 2 doses of his primary vaccine. Guyana has already recorded 2 COVID-19 fatalities for the new year, 2 men aged 58 and 59 who had been unvaccinated. The Health Ministry is encouraging persons aged 5 and older to get vaccinated against the novel coronavirus, and for those already immunized to get boosted. Coming up, President Ali departs for official visit to India and government working to reduce corruption, abuse of power in public offices, says AG. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
This Christmas, give the gift of life by protecting your loved ones against vaccine-preventable diseases. The Ministry of Health's nightly vaccination campaign continues throughout December at the Ministry of Health tarmac up to 7 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. Administration of the HPV vaccine for children begins from 9 years old, so come out adults and bring your children to get vaccinated against HPV. But that's not all. Since it's a season of giving, we are gifting back to school supplies to children receiving HPV and COVID-19 vaccines throughout December. Adults, gifts for you too when you are vaccinated at the Ministry of Health, Brickdam, on December 25th, 26th, and 31st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, contact us at 226-8171 or 226-3103. Vaccinate what you create. A message from the Ministry of Health and UNICEF.
Play and win with Superbet. Visit an agent near you to play all your favorite games. Superbet, your best bet. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly.
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optic, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to the ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optic Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. President Dr. Irfan Ali departed Guyana today for a 7-day official visit to India. On January 10, the head of state will be bestowed with the highest honor conferred on overseas Indians, the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award. For this year's awards, President Ali will join 26 other persons of Indian origin, non-resident Indians, who have been recognized by the government of India for their outstanding achievements, both in India and abroad. While in India, President Ali will also participate in the Pradesh government's Global Investors Summit and have other engagements with officials of the government of India and agencies or organizations of the private sector of India. A 7-year-old boy of BARTICA Region 7 is in a critical condition at the Georgetown Public Hospital after being struck down by a motor car yesterday afternoon. The child has been identified only as Wesley, a pupil of Pataro Primary School. Reports are that at about 14:30 hours, the child had just exited a minibus and was crossing the road when he was struck by a motor car. The child had to be airlifted to Georgetown by the Guyana Defense Force, Air Corps. The GDF said doctors at the BARTICA Hospital made a request through the regional health system, after which the Army was contacted and the requisite approval was granted to transport the boy, who has suffered substantial injuries and had to be intubated before travel. Luanda McAllister now tells us that the woman who stabbed her husband to death after he had slapped her several times has been remanded to prison after her arraignment on a manslaughter charge. Here's more.
25-year-old Lakeisha Garnett was on Friday remanded to prison for stabbing her reputed husband to death on New Year's Day. The woman appeared at the number 51 Magistrates Court before Magistrate Rabindranath Singh, where she was charged with manslaughter. Dead is 25-year-old Jason Bonath, a laborer formerly of Middle Street, Princetown, Quarantine, Berbice. The incident occurred at around 23 hours 50 on Sunday last at the couple's shared home. Police had related that earlier in the day, the duo was at the suspect's mother's home at a family function when they had an argument, during which the victim slapped the woman twice to her face. The woman subsequently went home and was shortly followed by her reputed husband. At home, the couple continued to argue, during which the man reportedly slapped the victim again. The woman then picked up a knife and stabbed the man once to his chest. Bonath was taken to the Skeldon Public Hospital, where he was then transferred to the New Amsterdam Public Hospital, where he died whilst receiving treatment. The couple has 2 children, aged 6 and 5. Meanwhile, the woman was remanded until February 27th. Luanda McAllister, The Evening News.
The woman who survived the fatal motorcycle crash in New Amsterdam on Boxing Night, which had left her unconscious and now with broken limbs, has regained consciousness and is out of hospital. This mother of one, who was the pillion rider on the motorcycle when the accident, which claimed the life of a 19-year-old welder, occurred, spoke with the Evening News today. Our Berbice correspondent Andrew Carmichael has that report.
Still confined to a bed, 18-year-old Renata Prashand, a mother of one who resides on the east coast of Demerara, remembered the activities which led to her being on a motorcycle and in New Amsterdam on Boxing evening. She told Evening News that she did not know the person who was riding the bike and only met him a short time before. She said she was trying to get transportation to a function when she saw a friend riding a motorcycle being accompanied by 2 other riders. The friend stopped and offered her a ride, but she had to sit on his friend's bike. That was 19-year-old Vishan Ramphal, whose motorcycle crashed into a concrete base of the arch with a welcome sign at New Amsterdam, killing him on the spot. Prachand said she, along with the 5 others, went to an entertainment center.
We drink 2 beer, and then we leave for go shopping. When we go shopping, I just try to get away from them. So I got next to the DJ corner, and Marlon come and ask me if we could go any at 40s. So I tell you, I'm not going. And I see my child father brother, and I try to get away from him. And then when Ryan come ask me if we're going 40s, I tell you yeah, because I want to get away from my child father brother. Now when I want to go jump on Marlon motorbike, he tell me let me go with the one guy. I didn't even know the guy name. They're going with all the speed. At Palmarathon, the one right me trying to go in front, with Marlon bracing on the right, to go on the right side. So they're racing all the way. Up, when we reach in NA, I can't remember what happened.
Police had released a statement on the crash, saying that a motor car bearing registration plate PJJ 3534 collided with the motorcycle, causing the rider and the pillion rider to be flung into the air and subsequently crashed into the concrete block. At the scene, police found a car light with a lug belonging to a car, which reportedly fled the scene after the accident. The registration plate number was engraved on the light. The dead teen's father, Navendra Ramphal, says he was able to locate the car and went to Alnis village, where a car bearing registration plate PJJ 3534 was found in a garage.
He asked the owner like how long is the car in the drive for. The owner said about 5 months something now. And he inspect the car, he go on the car, and he called for the fog lamp that wasn't fine. And when he send the fog lamp, wasn't fine from his phone now. He are saying that the first number, that is 3, is not visible really, is invisible. So he think on 8. So he said that he will call GRE and inform about the PJG 8534, and he will contact us back about that. And until now, it's nothing like that. When I watch the bottom of the car, the oil was dripping, fresh dripping was dripping under the car. And the left side from the car and bumper and the light is bent. It's getting a big dent. And the windscreen at top of the car cracked. So that
What fresh oil means? What do you understand?
the oil is leaking down, it's dripping down.
So, what do you understand by that?
Because if you said the car parked 5 months now, the oil could not drip. Unless the car is using.
Investigations are ongoing. For the Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
Vanu Manikchan joins us now to report that Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlal has stated that on a daily basis, government is undertaking efforts to remove social ills such as corruption and abuse of power from public office. Here is more.
Speaking during the latest edition of his weekly program Issues in the News, Attorney General Anil Nandlal said government is cognizant of issues concerning corruption and abuse of power in public offices and is working feverishly to rid the public sector of them.
We are working every day to ensure that abuse of power at every level in the state apparatus is minimized. I don't think one can ever eliminate it, but we are working feverishly every day to minimize executive lawlessness, arrogance in public office, and abuse of power.
The Attorney General posited that when citizens and key leaders in the society participate in acts such as bribery, then it makes government's task of tackling the issue more difficult.
It takes two persons for a bribe to be successful. You have to have a briber and you have to have a bribee. If there is no briber, then there will be no bribery. So citizens have to understand that they cannot bribe.
According to Nandlal, this especially applies to police officers against whom there are many complaints of bribery. But the AG contends that citizens need to take the responsible position and call out these officers.
Make it public if a policeman asks you for a bribe. I have said in the public sector, in the legal sector, when bribe is requested of you, make it public. Take a photograph or go live and say, this man is asking me for a bribe. That's one of the ways by which we can deal with the issue.
Another way Nandlal said this issue can be dealt with is if persons stop paying the bribes. He noted that there are too many people who are prepared to compromise due process.
There are too many persons who are prepared and very willing to pay the bribe. In fact, there are many people who offer the bribe. But people don't like to hear this. That because, it's difficult for persons to accept their fault. They're going to criticize me for even saying this. If it is that you have violated the law, then let the policeman charge you. If you believe that you're innocent, you go to court and the case is tried. But it's when you want to compromise the legal process, it is when you want to pervert the legal process, then is when the issue of bribery arises.
Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchand.
President Dr. Irfan Ali has revealed that this year, his government will be further pushing to encourage diaspora investments in Guyana. Find out more in this report.
In the new year, we want the diaspora to be more critically involved in the developmental aspect and projects of our country.
That was President Dr. Irfan Ali during a recent live broadcast to the nation, where he underscored the importance of the diaspora in the country's development.
So we'll be pursuing special models through which they can invest their resources into different projects in Guyana, through which we can build consortium so that the private sector can grow and the diaspora can be part of this growth and development.
According to Ali, the country is entering a new era which will pose an array of challenges, but he noted that his administration stands ready to confront any such challenges as they arise.
But your government is prepared to confront these challenges. We are prepared to confront these challenges, and not only confront these challenges, but to lay the bedrock in which Guyana can be the forerunner, can be the front runner in a number of areas regionally and globally. That is where we want to position Guyana.
The head of state posited that the government intends to use revenues from the oil and gas sector to build a diversified economy that will lead to the prosperity of every citizen.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Saturday, January 7th at 4 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Barbers River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Saturday, January 7th at 16 hours 25 for a period of 1.5 hours.
Berbice cricket needs new leadership, says Foster, and Russell lauds quality of Big Bash cricket in Australia. Details of these stories in the Sportcast, sponsored by MACORP, coming up on the other side of the break.
This Christmas, give the gift of life by protecting your loved ones against vaccine-preventable diseases. The Ministry of Health's nightly vaccination campaign continues throughout December at the Ministry of Health tarmac up to 7 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. Administration of the HPV vaccine for children begins from 9 years old. So come out, adults, and bring your children to get vaccinated against HPV. But that's not all. Since it's a season of giving, we are gifting back to school supplies to children receiving HPV and COVID-19 vaccines throughout December. Adults, gifts for you too when you are vaccinated at the Ministry of Health, Brickdam, on December 25th, 26th, and 31st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, contact us at 226-8171 or 226-3103. Vaccinate what you create. A message from the Ministry of Health and UNICEF.
Complete control of power is in your hands with the ultimate U.S. brand Generac generators from Sylvie's Variety Store. Get the supply and reliability you need every time. From 1,800 to 8,000 watts of power for residential and commercial use. Recoil and electric start with gasoline engines. Generac generators from the authorized dealers Sylvie's Variety Store.
This Christmas, guess what? You're guaranteed to save big right at National Hardware Limited. Shopping for Christmas trees? We've got all sizes, from the traditional to the ones with a modern twist. Garlands, wreaths, lights, and Christmas inflatables are what you need to bring that Christmas cheer. Out with the old and in with the new. We've got curtains, carpets, and so much more to spruce up your home for the holidays. Save time too, and get presents for both boys and girls, whether big or small. National Hardware has you covered in more ways than one this holiday season. Check out our superstore at 13 to 14 Industrial Site, Rumvelt. Telephone number 231-1091-95. Or downtown at 17 to 19A Water Street. Telephone number 227-1961.